So, today, EU4 advisor tier list. What advisors are the best? What advisors are the worst? Let's make a totally not subjective tier list. Totally based on facts. What we have first here? First here, we have the artists. They're a little bit long, the chunky boys. Artist, where do we put him? C tier. I feel like stability has a lot of good things, but this is more in the advisor that I would take when I need an admin point more than a stability decrease, right? Like if you're going for something specific, like I want to decrease the stability cost as much as possible, this can be good. Otherwise, nah. So I agree with C tier. B tier, I don't know. I feel like he belongs here. He has his place around in EU4, of course, but I feel like still kind of you don't always need him. My conditions for a good tier, I'm just gonna say it because last time I didn't, and people molded, is that it's useful for all nations and not for a specific playstyle. So if it's useful for all nations in general, always, it's more up. If it's more specific, it goes more down. So yes, stability is useful for every nation, but you don't step up that often. There's other advisors that are more important. That's why I put it into C tier. Okay, next, the Inquisitor. Squish. 2% missionary strength. I would say B tier because it's very good to have him around when you need to convert. Yes, again, it's very specific. If I play Byzantium and I have a lot of orthodoxy to spread, it's very good. If you go for world conquest, it's very good. But if you're just in, I don't know, just in Japan, you don't care about converting. At least not in the early game. You just stay with your religion. Or if you play Ming, you just harmonize, so you don't need him. So I would say B tier. Because he's very good, but I don't take him that often in other playthroughs. It really depends on your playstyle at the end of the day, of course. But I feel like general B tier. Then, another Giga Chat. He's not just an advisor. He's a master of his art, master of mint. What a chat. He's a master. Can't be only good. I would say the master of mint reduces inflation. And because most of us start with loans anyways, and we like gold mines, I would say this Giga Chat is A tier. I wouldn't say S tier because there's a lot of playthroughs where you have like inflation reduction built into your nation, but yeah, this is still very strong. I would say A tier definitely. Because of this event, I know the event you mean. It is very progress. S tier. Let's go. Next, natural scientist. This guy is the guy you take most of the time because production is so strong. Production is so good. That is S tier. B tier. Who says B tier? Who wants to be kicked out? This guy's just such a no-brainer. 10% production efficiency. If you are a big nation, this dude just pays for himself. S tier. People will mold him. I already feel the comments like, Florius, how could you push him into S tier? He's only good for money. How dare you? Philosopher. +1 prestige. He's good sometimes, but not always. Where do we put him? I would say A tier, because prestige can be used by every nation. Prestige has a lot of modifiers. Yeah, I can show you. Let's go into the game, just to show you what I mean. Imagine I would get one now. Do we have a prestige guy? We actually have. Bam. Prestige guy. I'm actually making positive prestige now. So I can hold these modifiers. Even will get them better. Moral of armies, moral of navies, trade modifier, improve relations, legitimacy, spy detection, AE, institution spread, clergy. Like all of you like it more. There's so much modifiers behind prestige. I think people forget that. I wouldn't say D tier. Like, God no. So next, Theologian. He gives you an unrest decrease. Yeah, no, I'm gonna put him into C tier. Because unrest reduction sometimes is kind of useful. You can always suppress this, but if you love it, like he has his use. It's still niche, but he has his use. He's not the worst of the worst. He's not very worst. I would say C tier. This is one of the people you mostly get because you need an admin point. He was the cheapest one. But yeah. Then, last dude of admin, tax modifier. 10% tax modifier. I'm between A and S. I would say A tier. Because he also, especially in the early game, he just pays for himself mostly. Think about usefulness. You can use this guy as most nations, no problem. Even the trade nations have tax income somehow, so it's still useful, right? So I would say A tier. I feel like he has very good uses with a lot of things. And even though tax becomes less important for trade missions, still useful, still fills the admin slot. Then, next one. Colonial Governor. 10% tariffs. Who has ever used him unironically and not just because they wanted +1 dip? Who used him and thought, this is something I really need right now? I mean, I feel like he was better at some point, but at the moment, this dude is a very, very, very strong D tier. I mean, I would put him... I'm gonna put him on the bottom of D tier, somewhere here. Like, this is where he belongs. The only reason I would get him is because he's the only one +1 dip advisor that I can get, and I'm a nation that is basically broke. So, I don't like him. I'm sorry. Next, Diplomat. +20 improved relations modifier. It's kind of strong, but also kind of specific. I would say A tier too. Because you don't always get him, but he's kind of an AE reduction, if you know what I mean. Because with good relations, you can just reduce AE. There's other things I would get before him in Dip Tech, but he's very strong. So I'm gonna 8 tier. Strong. Strong 8 tier. Good. Next, the Naval Reformer. Naval Reformer is specific, because it's for navies, and not every nation in EU4 starts with one or can get one. He is useful, but I never use him. I'm actually gonna give this one to Chad, because I actually never use him. What do you say? A tier, Mall of Navies is hard to get. Okay, C tier, D tier, B tier. It is automatically not A tier because it's specific. I said my conditions before. S and A tier is stuff you can always use as every nation. Mall of Navies is useless for Switzerland. I'm just saying, like, the last thing you need as Switzerland is Mall of Navies. So that's already why it's the top tier is gone. And I would say it's C tier because most of the time you just outbuild the enemy's navy, and that's how you win. Like, if you watch my France guide, I don't use any advices, and I just kill the British. I mean, yes, they get strong over time with the ideas, I agree, but I feel like there's no need. So you will hate me for the next one, but this dude is not gonna be a high rank. I know Colonial range +20 is very good if you want to kind of jump to a fast Colonial start, but it is so specific. It's really good because it increases your Colonial range by 20%, but that's it. I wouldn't say he's that good in that case. By the way, I'm gonna extend this now. So I created space out of nowhere. Okay, next one. Spy Master. Spy Network Construction. It's useful in the early game because you can kind of boost up sieges. And you need it to declare wars if you don't have a mission tree, right? But at the end of the day, I never use him. I never. Like, I know I put a lot of in C tier over here. You have to understand my reasoning. This is good for every nation always, right? Over here, it starts with more specific playstyle and this kind of dog shit. This is good early game, but then he loses a lot of worth. And if you are a naval nation and you have a lot of coastal forts, you just barrage, you know? So yeah, I'm gonna put him C tier. Next, I like the Statesman. +1 dip. Once again, this is why our playstyles are so different. Some of you just don't give anything to him because you don't play a lot of vassals. I play a lot of vassals. So the tip rep guy made my life easier so often. But I know I have a very, very, very specific playstyle with that case. Okay, it's not too very specific. I mean, AE reduction that way is very normal. But, you know, I will put him into B tier. Because, as I said, specific playstyle, but very good in that. Very good in that. And vassals are just so good. But the problem is you don't always work with vassals. You don't always. There's like playthroughs when you unite Japan. Vassals are useless to you, right? So you don't need him. That's why he's B tier. Trade. With trade, we have the problem. It is specific. Trade is A tier. I'm just saying. Trade isn't specific, though. How is it not specific? I mean, imagine you play Muscovy. The last thing you think about is trade. If you play France and you don't play like me, right? You just play normal France. You don't think about trade. When you play Austria, you don't think about trade. He becomes later important, but, you know... Like, you can always work yourself to trade, but you don't start with it, with every nation. Always important in a late game. Yes, let's agree on A tier. Because trade at the beginning is situational. You could be in a bad position for trade at the beginning, and then you don't care about trade. You care about taxes, you care about expansion. You could be a horde. But at the late game, most nations work with trade. That's why I would say it's situational, but also at the end you can form your nation in a way that it's not situational anymore. Land force limit modifier 10%. It sounds amazing on paper, But most of the time, why I don't use it is because I don't have the economy or other things are more important, especially in military tier. I feel like it is nice, but not always needed, right? Like it's kind of specific again. Yeah, land force limit modifier. It's something I take when I want like 1 mil point. I'll put it here. It's not bad, but I feel like there's so much other things in military that's so much better. So, continue. We now have the Army Reformer. Plus 10% morale of armies. This dude in the old patches was a giga chat. This dude was amazing. I loved him. I took him every time I had the chance. And now he's not. Moral has been debuffed. Moral is less important now. It is about other modifiers now, like infantry combat ability and something else. I would say every army has moral. This is the first time I put something in B tier, not because it is situational. No, your armies will always use moral, but it has been decreased so much in the importance of battle that I can't put it into A tier or S tier anymore. It is just not useful enough anymore. Sometimes it's still nice to have, but it's not the most important modifier anymore. It's just not. Then, Commandant. Plus 5 discipline. And this is the other modifier I talked about. This is a giga chat. This dude, I'm not even going to discuss this. I'm just going to put it in S tier right now. I'm just going to put him right now. Because discipline is, since moral has been debuffed, the best thing you can get as a military advisor. Because plus 5 discipline is so much. If you lose a war, think about getting a discipline advisor and you could actually just turn it around. Like, it is that good. Most of my guides, I just say get him when he's cheap. He's very nice and he can change an outturn of a battle crazy. Like, he's so good. I love discipline advisors. So strong. No! They deleted my advisor. Grand Captain. Land maintenance modifier minus 10%. What do you say? I want to hear your opinions first. C, one for me, B or C. He's good early game. And if you're a big nation, right? Otherwise, I'm gonna be nice and put him into B tier. I really want to put him into C tier, but I feel like he's better than Colonial range. He's better than most of these things over here, in my opinion. So I'm just gonna put it here, because he has his uses, but they're kind of niche. But in this niche, he's very good. National Manpower modifier plus 10%. A larger manpower pool. National Manpower modifier is so good, but at the same time, like, if I need, like, I take advisor if I need something fast and immediate. Like, if I say I want more money now, I want more discipline now, I want more trade money now, I want to improve relations right now fast, that's good. But manpower is just so slow, especially in the early game and recovery, because in the late game, I don't care about him. In the late game, I have a large manpower pool. But in the early game, he's not useful that fast, you know what I mean? Like, manpower is very draggingly slow in recovering, and I feel like the 10% doesn't do that much. In the long run, he's good, but if I take an advisor, most of the time I need this stuff now, so I would put him into B tier, because he is useful for every nation, but very on the lower end, right? Very on the lower end. Usually I just slacken for manpower. Say I slacken, I switch to mercs, I already have like quantity ideas. The last thing I think about when I need manpower is, oh, I'm gonna get a manpower advisor now, because I know it will take ages until I get the manpower, right? So, no. We have now the military engineer. Very, very situational. I barely ever take him. I only take him when I have huge problems with being sieged real quick. And before I take him, I'll put the edict up. I would say it is... He has his uses. He is better than Terrace in my opinion, so I'm just gonna put him into C tier. There you go. C tier you go. But he's on the lower end of C tier. He's not that good. I feel like I would take National Unrest before I would take a Port Defense Engineer. Quartermaster. I never use him. I don't know what you... But I've never used this advisor in my life because I wanted reinforcement speed. Basically, reinforcement speed means when your troops lost manpower and the manpower comes back, like, they regenerate faster. But, I don't know. I feel like I'm gonna put him into D tier. I never use it. This is subjective, right? Like, you know what? He can have the rest of D tier. He can have... I don't like him. You guys can ride. I think he's not that good. Okay. This is my EU4 advisor tier list. I hope you hate it. I'm looking forward to the comments where you disagree with me. And it's always a charm with tier lists. And if you want to see me do another tier list, write it into the comments. Until next video. Bye.